We are going to begin the funeral service for Mrs. Judi Stone. If you have a cell phone, I'd ask you kindly to place it in a silent mode at this time or turn it completely off. I'd also like to welcome friends via live stream on behalf of the family. Thank you for attending as well. And services will be conducted by Rabbi Karen Kadar, who's going to start with the ancient tradition of cutting of the kriya. So, immediate family, stand please. Immediate family.
As we always do at these times, we begin with the Psalms. Esainai el harim me'ayin yavo ezri. I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. My help comes from God, who is the maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian, your protection at your right hand. And of course, Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemy. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The part of this psalm that for me is most poignant are two phrases. One, even in this moment of deep sadness and mixed emotions and a swirl of memories, we say, my cup runneth over. So in Judaism, it's not that our cup is half full or half empty, but even now, our cup overflows. And the other part of this psalm that speaks to me greatly and even more as the years go on is that as we are hanging out at the valley of the shadow of death and we're in the shadows, it's goodness and mercy that pursue us all the days of our life. Not fear, not regret, but the psalm lifts us up and say, please, even in the shadows, may it be goodness and mercy. In the rising of the sun and its going down, we will remember her. And in the blowing of the wind and the chill of winter, we will remember her. In the opening of buds and rebirth of spring, we will remember her. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember her. in the beginning of the year, and when it ends, we will remember her. When you are weary and in need of strength, you will remember her. When you are lost and sick at heart, you will remember her. When you have joys you yearn to share, you will remember her. As long as we live, she too shall live, always a part of us, always remembered. In the book of Job, we say, Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach yehi shem Adonai mevarach, which means God has given, God has taken away. Blessed be the name of God. We're an ancient people. We are well acquainted with grief in the valley of the shadows. Death and sorrow are not strangers to us. But the centuries teach us this one important thing, that a good name endures beyond the grave, and that there's strength in faith. So now we say, Adonai natan, God, you gave us a loved one, and she will never be forgotten. For all that was good and enduring in her life, we offer our deepest thanks. Adonai lakach, and God, you have taken her away. So we pray for strength to turn our broken hearts into an altar of trust so that we can say, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach, blessed be the name of God. It is great honor when loved ones rise to say a few words about their beloved. And so I'll ask first to start off Andi, Judi's sister, to come forward.
Thank you all for coming. Sisters, I've been giving that a lot of thought the last few days. Growing up, my sister made me crazy. She always showed me up being the good child, and so naturally I became the other child. She was a tough act to follow for sure. As we became adults, I came to realize what a special trait that was, watching Judi take care of our mother for so long, which those of you who knew my mother, that was not easy. I think her care helped my mother live so long. My sister was kind, compassionate, dependable, and loyal. Exactly the kind of sister everyone would love to have. And I was fortunate enough to have her as my sister, and I will miss her.
David.
Thanks. A lot of you may know that my mom and I actually did not have the ideal mother-child relationship. You may have even seen it in action. I don't know if it was because of or despite the fact that we actually have a lot in common. And it's something we both struggled with together and separately. But the truth is, she was an excellent mom, and as I know you all know, obviously an excellent human being. And we've heard nothing but that from so many of you this week. She did all the things that a good mom does. She was at all my games, and I will share credit with my dad here. Always there for those things, no matter how much or how little I was expected to play. All the way through shows I've been in the last couple years, they've always been there. She would write little notes in the lunches she made for me at school. She would always encourage me, especially in times when I needed a little nudge. She'd be sending me things, sending me articles, sending me information, coupons even. Things that would, again, if I needed a little nudge to follow an identified interest or a talent, always trying to and help me follow those things. This is why you write things down. Thank you. I forgot my next bullet point. It's not the typical public speaking I do. Oh, yeah. She's not someone to give, like, sit you down and give you an explicit lesson that this is what you should do, this is how you should do it. She didn't have to. I don't think it was part of any master plan of hers, but you just saw it every day in how she lived and what she did. It's a cliche, but she always did the right thing at the right time in the right way. And I will also share credit with my dad here too. Unless it was something involving, I don't know, patience or staying calm. That was more my mom's department. But always setting a great example. And I like to think that directly rubbed off on me, with all credit to her and my dad as well. One thing I will never forget, this probably doesn't happen much anymore, if at all, but when I was growing up, occasionally someone would ring the doorbell selling magazine subscriptions for charity, something like that. She literally could not say no. We ended up with a lot of magazines we did not want or need. And again, credit to her, but it seeped into me. I remember once I invited the guy in to watch a Bulls playoff game with me. Probably should not have done that, but that was her influence. A few years ago, 5 years ago, just over 5 years ago, we had an 80th birthday party for her. And I was thumbing through a photo book the other day. There were some of you there, you may remember, we had some note cards with prompts to say something about her. And I learned this week that they were never spoken out loud. We have photos of them, but they were never spoken. So I wanted to quickly kind of read a couple of those, because it's your words. You all know her differently than we do, some cases for longer than we did. So I wanted to read, and I haven't memorized these, so I need to read these, from different phases of her life. The first one is from a childhood friend of both my mom and Andy's. When I was in middle school and high school and we were neighbors in Appleton, I thought you were the most amazing and incredible person, and indeed you still are. I remember when Andi asked me to come over, and I always hoped that I'd be able to see you, at least a glance. I was at an age when role models, authentic and honorable, were crucial and an important and vital part of life, and you were the one. Sorry, Andi, it sounds like your friend was more into my mom. I don't know who it was, but it's back at the house. And from adult friends of multiple decades, you always seem to express your caring thoughts with the sincerity that is you. Your good nature is clear to those who know you. And that is, I mean, the word cloud, if that's the phrase of what we heard this week, it was, caring and kind and selfless and generous and every synonym within a mile of those words. Then there were two that were identical. I don't know if it was lack of creativity or you copied each other, but the prompt was, happy birthday to ... the best grandma ever. Is that you guys? All right. Then I'm gonna go back in time a little bit. There's one other one. Also, I think, thank you for the time that ... you spent in Las Vegas with me in 1970 with a heart with an arrow through it. And I wish I wish I could just leave that where it was, but I think it needs a little bit of an explanation, because it could otherwise be very sweet, and is, but that was my dad talking about the weekend they got married, not like some random weekend she went off to Las Vegas with someone else. Two last things I wanted to say to everyone who has, and I'm probably speaking for everyone, but certainly for myself, thank you for every communication, in person, electronically, you name it. This week, it's all been so meaningful. There have been a lot of great gifts this week that I've received. And secondly, just thank you for showing me how to support someone in this situation, because I now realize I had no idea before now. So thank you. I guess that applies to food too, especially food. And I hope you guys are hungry. We've barely scratched the surface with that, I think. The last thing I wanted to say, I was driving home the other night after, I don't know, day 7 or so, and one of my all-time favorite songs came on. And I know it's also become a meaningful song to Amy and Kai for their own reasons. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing it, but I did want to say a snippet of it, and it's not for you guys, actually. I knew this was going to get me. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. I knew it. Far away from your troubles and worry. You belong somewhere you feel free. Thank you all for coming.
It's going to be a hard act to follow. Okay. My Aunt Andi spoke of sisters. I'd like to speak of daughters. I am my mother's daughter. I have been blessed with a relatively uncomplicated relationship with my mother, one that I know not everyone is able to say. She and I were different people, which is possibly why we were largely okay with one another. She always allowed me to be me and follow my own path without trying to influence the outcome. She told me regularly that she was proud of who I was, who I had become, and the life I had made for myself. Who gets to hear that all the time from their mother? She always welcomed and loved the people that I loved in my life and approached them with generous, genuine interest and gentle acceptance. My earliest childhood friends to my most recent ones all recall her as the sweetest and the kindest of ladies and of moms. When I brought home my non-Jewish boyfriend that I planned to marry, Mark with a K and not a C, as we had to tell everyone, she didn't flinch. Initially beloved for his ability to reach things on the high shelves in her home, my mom welcomed Mark immediately into the family, and they developed a deep and enduring bond through the years. My mother was Rose's daughter. So many of you here knew and loved Rose. What a tough act to follow when it comes to getting older. My mom always made her mom an important part of our lives growing up, recognizing the vital role a grandmother can play. My mom never missed an opportunity to recognize and celebrate my Grandma Rose, gathering our extended family together for birthday after birthday and birthday and birthday. My mom showed me by example what it meant for a daughter to love and care for her mother through good and healthy times, but also through harder times. I am surrounded by daughters. When I learned my mom was dying last week, which seems a lifetime ago, I was surrounded by many of my closest girlfriends as we played hooky on a beautiful Friday afternoon. All of them daughters, each of them daughters with daughters of their own. As we savored our last sips of rosé, knowing the day was quickly taking a turn, we cried and also laughed as we contemplated together the enormity of a daughter losing her mother. And I had never felt less alone in my whole life. Those daughters, my sisters really, their families and so many others have literally blanketed us with love, with logistical support, and with food this week, and we are so grateful for you all. I have a daughter. My mom was there at the very start with her first grandchild, content for hours to do nothing other than hold and rock Kai in the middle of the heat wave that had overtaken Northern California that particular week she was born. My mom loved Kai with the purest brand of grandparent love. She loved you too, Caleb, but this story is about daughters at the moment. Nothing made her happier than having sleepovers at her house and making pancakes in the morning when the kids were little. She attended every performance, every soccer game, along with my father. Kai told me that she thought that maybe my mother went through the world just looking for little things that reminded her of the people that she loved. And she clipped out articles for Kai of Harry Styles every time she saw them. She left a voicemail every time she saw a beautiful sunset, telling Kai to look out the window. Kai has saved almost all of those voicemails. You might notice that both Kai and I are a little bit hoarse today. We may have a little glitter left on our face that seems out of place for a funeral. But we decided that the best way to pay tribute to my mother, her grandmother, and the uncomplicated and undemanding style of love that she gave us was to sing our hearts out, arm in arm, at the Taylor Swift concert last night, because that is exactly what a mother would want her daughter to do.
You all spoke so beautifully about the unique relationships that you had with Judi. And I could see that the different pieces of that prism were resonating with different people among here. As beautiful and simple as she was, it was also complex, and the different relationships complex. And it was it is a beautiful tribute that you were able to stand up here and say what needs to be said. I love the fact that there are people who knew Rose here, because that's where I was going to start my words. You were born of Max and Rose in Wisconsin. I mean, how many of us at this age can say our parents weren't born in the old country, but rather in this country? And growing up in that small town of Appleton, Wisconsin, must have had with it a richness that didn't come up so much when we were talking, but I imagine were amazing stories. Andy, you were many years apart, and many people here can resonate with this. Therefore, you had a different relationship than your sister with your parents. I can't tell you how many times did I sit and listen to people's stories, and one sibling says, yeah, that's not my relationship, and it's like we had different parents, and that was the case with the two of you. It was a household that had ups and downs and different struggles, and Judi went out on her way to find the world. She was that popular girl in school, sparkling, had a star quality, went to University of Wisconsin and became a speech pathologist. And I know there are many stories more than you could tell. And I'm going to ask you to go ahead and continue to tell them, because you two are who you are because of who came before you. And just sit down with your aunt and with your grandfather and say, tell me that story again, and how did that go again? Very important. In those days, as you told me, Dick, and as I've heard many times in this neck of the woods, boys and girls got together on Friday night and Sunday nights. There were parties for Jews to meet Jews. And this is how you socialized, and this is how you all found one another. The two of you met at one of these parties, and it was a year later that you asked her out. Now, a lot happened in that gap year, I am sure, which I guess is really the original gap year, an entire year later when you asked her out. But in those days, Judi was very independent and very adventurous. She had things to do and places to see. She went to California, spent time in Las Vegas, time in Hawaii. You came, you visit, and you had quite a long courtship. She was busy and happy to be alone, and apparently you were busy and also happy to be alone until one Sunday where you met, I think in Hawaii, and you said, hey, let's get married. Now, you didn't tell me exactly how that proposal was, but knowing you the short time that I know you, Knowing you as you always being just you, I can imagine it wasn't particularly flowery and it probably went something like just like that. Hey, let's get married. And the amazing thing is that after all these years of dating and being apart, the answer was yes, and next Sunday they were married. That was it. Time to be married. Maybe it's because the two of you dreamt to have children. Maybe you were just needed not to be alone anymore. But you had that beautiful weekend in Las Vegas, and I think that's so amazing that you have that little card with the heart in it, which a man of little words, but it said everything. She did a lot of things, that beautiful woman, teeny little woman with a pixie haircut. I saw some pictures of her when she was younger. I asked you what you loved about her. Being a man of many words, you said, she was a nice person and attractive. But what we've heard here, and what all of you know about her, is that her being a nice person was actually a beautiful talent. That's something that we can kind of throw away. How did you like this person? Yeah, they were nice, but that's not what this is. This is a character trait that, frankly, Dick, you needed in your life. Somebody who was kind and sweet and dutiful and almost cared to engage with the other more than herself. Mark, you mentioned that right when I walked in, I barely sat down. She said, I got to tell you one thing. She asked how you are, and she listened, which is an unusual trait. A very private person, didn't really tell you much about herself, although my guess is she has friends here that could tell it a little bit differently, and you two should talk to the family. But she was very, very interested in who you were. She was a homemaker, not a great cook, but a homemaker, a very present mom, sometimes too present. She did what she did, as women did of that generation, where you were working very long hours, not particularly home. And though I didn't know her, I feel compelled to be her voice right now and to say to the two of you that she really loved you. She just did. She really wanted you, and she really loved you. And as I said, my guess is she eventually agreed to marry because of you. It was time for you to come into this world. And that devotion was everything. Dick, you gave her consistency and a dependable life and a stability that my guess is she was yearning for. You enjoyed your life together. Utah, Lake Geneva, major trips. She sent postcards from wherever she was. I was actually thinking, I wonder if they still sell postcards, because that's something I should probably do with my grandchildren. I love that you got all those postcards. And the two of you talked about sisters and mothers, daughters, siblings. You both took your own path. You took a path to self-actualize. And I was thinking about her last night. I thought, gosh, all that time in California, all those stories of what she was doing out there that didn't surface when we were talking, she also was looking to self-actualize. So where you thought you were the rebel, being the ski bum in Park City, you kind of were living the life that she had once lived. And where you set off on a path kind of trying to differentiate yourself and find yourself, you kind of did what she did when she left her hometown and her parents in Wisconsin. Opposites, similar. We all are born of a parent and then go ahead and try to figure out what that means. And Caleb, blueberry waffles, Jello molds, Harry Styles, Fuddruckers, old cars. Kai, lots of little things. Those postcards, the sleepovers. I bet you were the light of her life. She was amazed by you. There is no question in my mind. And that kind of grandmother love is forever. As she began to fail, your family dynamic shifted. It was almost as if this quiet woman had one more lesson to teach you, profound. Without saying a word, she drew you all together. Andi, you came in. Dick, you never even went to Sunset, let alone knowing how to manage with things at home, and you became the caretaker that every woman dreams and hopes that their husband will be if it turns out that way. Will he really? He doesn't know how to boil water. Will he be there? And your children are so grateful to the way that you were there for her. Dedicated. That gruff side somehow mellowing as she was fading into that good light. You were the last to hear her voice that somehow is so appropriate in my romantic heart. She drew all of you together in an intimate circle, holding vigil, taking turns. Many of you have experienced this. There can be a lot of healing by the bedside of the dying. Her last days, you held her arm and you listened to her breathe, just as she did when she was a young mother and you were babies. And she would, I'm sure, like we all did, tiptoe into the room and listen to you breathe. At the end of her days, you paid her that same respect, listening to the labor death. No life is perfect. We all got a story to tell. And we're all working out those dents. There's darkness, there's lights, there's up, there's down. There is healing. And that voicemail that she left you, oh my God, and I'm just going to reiterate it, your mother said it, because when you see the beauty of that sunset, she would tell you, look up at the sky because you will see me. And I believe that. And part of what I think she was trying to say is because when I'm living at my best, I'm that beautiful. And you, I see you. You are that beautiful. I'll end with a poem that I wrote many years ago because I think it really kind of fits. And as I'm trying to be her voice, I think she'd want me to say this woman of few words. I called it A Mother to Her Girls, but it is 100% appropriate to sons. The morning you wake to bury me, you'll wonder what to wear. The sun may be shining, or maybe it will rain. It may be winter or not. You'll say to yourself, black? Aren't I supposed to wear black? Then you will remember all the times we went shopping together. We bought clothes, the prom, homecoming, just another pair of jeans, another pair of shoes. You will remember how I loved to dress you, how beautiful you were in my eyes. The morning you wake to bury me, you'll look in the mirror in disbelief. You'll reach for some makeup or not, and you won't believe that this is the morning you're burying your mother. But it is. And as you gaze into the mirror, you will shed a tear or not, but look. Look carefully, for hiding in my expression, you will find yours. You will see me in your eyes, the way you laugh, the way you feel me when you think of God, of love, of struggle. Look into the mirror and you will see me in a look or the way you hold your mouth or stand a little bent or maybe straight. But you will see me. So let me tell you one last time before you dress what to wear. Put on any old thing, black or red, gray, Despite what I told you all these years, it doesn't really matter. Because as I told you all these years, you are beautiful the way you are. Dress yourself in honor and dignity. Dress yourself in confidence and self-love. Wear a sense of obligation for this world, for you are one of the lucky ones, and there is so much to do, to fix. Take care of each other. Take care of your heart. Take care of your soul. Talk to God. Wear humility and compassion. When you wake to bury me, put on a strong sense of self, courage, and understanding. I am sorry. Forgive me. I am sorry. Stand at my grave clothed in a gown of forgiveness, dressed like an angel would be, showing compassion and unconditional love. For at that very moment, all that will be left of me to give is love. So love. Please rise. El Malei Rachamim, Shochem Baromim, Hamatzeh Menucha Nachuna Tachat Kanfei Shechina, Im Kedoshim U'Tohorim, Kezohar Harakia Mashirim et Nishmat Judi Shalcha La'olama, Baal Harachamim, Yistireh B'Seter Kanafav La'olamim, V'Yitzor B'Tzor Chaim et Nishmata, Adonai Hu Nachletav Tanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkovav and Omar, Amen, which means, compassionate God, eternal spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Judi, for she has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence. Let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, as we all say. Please be seated.
This does conclude the service at the chapel. The family will be receiving condolences today following the interment, so around 2 p.m. until 7 p.m. tonight, and Monday, tomorrow, 4 p.m. until 8 p.m., and that's at the Haggarty residence, 990 Judson Avenue in Highland Park. That information is on your folder, so if you didn't get one when you entered the chapel, please get one when you leave, and it's also on our website as well. Interment will take place at West Lawn Cemetery, that's 7801 West Montrose Avenue in Norwich. The procession will be forming in our parking lot. Please keep in mind a few safety features while in the procession. Keep your bright headlights on at all times. Put your emergency blinkers on. Attach the orange funeral sticker to the passenger portion of your front windshield. And we'll also attach a flag to the roof of your car. And please stay as close as safety permits to the car in front of you. The following people have been selected to serve as pallbearers. When I call your name, if you please step forward. Beth Reisig, Bobby Stone, Shirley Stone, Jen Zuckerman, Ken Meyer, Rob Nardick, Mark Haggarty, and Caleb Haggarty. At this time, I would ask that everyone please rise as the family and the rabbi and Mrs. Stone are escorted from the chapel. Follow right behind, please 2 by 2.